Lao Tzu once said, "Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment." Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, Let's Be Real. I'm your host, Chris McCarthy. And today, I want to get into gratitude time before we get into the actual topic. Because I'm grateful for the skills that I have acquired over the years and the people who have taught me those skills. Now, some of you may feel the same way about what I just said, and some of you may have something else that you're grateful for. But every day you should wake up feeling grateful for something, because gratitude is one of the best things in your life. It's one of the things that can help you the most. So every day, try to think of something that you're grateful for, and try to think of something different to really dive deeper into yourself and your world around you to understand that there's so many things to be grateful for if you just open your eyes to see them. So anyways, we're going to get into the topic today of Let's Be Real, of don't forget who you are. Now, some of you may recognize this topic for a friend. You may recognize this for somebody that you work with, or even yourself. And so, like always, we're going to get into some definitions with this. And the first definition is the word you. You is a pronoun used to refer to the person or people that the speaker is addressing. So I'm addressing you. Forget, it's a verb. Fail to remember. The word remember is also a verb. Have in or be able to bring to one's mind an awareness, or, parentheses, someone or something that one has seen, known, or experienced in the past. And the last word we're gonna put as a keyword today is influence. It's a noun. The capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. Now, the reason why I do this, I give you the words, or like 4 key words that we're going to go over in this podcast about what we're talking about on the topic. And you're going to notice that those words have a reason for me giving you the definition, so you can better understand what I'm bringing to you to understand this topic. So the main question of this is, how do we forget who we are? So let's dive into like the neuroscience of this, where there's 4 different ways we forget. Now, this doesn't just pertain to how you forget yourself. This pertains to how you forget any information in your life. The first one is retrieval failure. And this is just the inability to retrieve a memory. You just simply forgot and can't retrieve it in your brain. Now, there are some other ones. Interference is the second one. Some memories compete and interfere with other memories. When information is very similar to the other information that was previously stored in the memory, failure to store, sometimes losing information. Oh, wait, sorry, back that up. That's the next one. So the interference, that is when memories compete. So you could have where let's make this simple. You went to Disneyland when you were 5, you went to Disneyland when you were 6, and you went to Disneyland when you were 7. All of those experiences were very similar, but the interference of all those times you went could cause you to not remember when it happened or where exactly it happened, and you get some interference. So you forget what exactly took place in that memory sometimes. Another one is failure to store. So that's the next one. That's the third one. Sometimes losing information has less to do with forgetting and more to do with the fact that it never made it into the long-term memory in the first place. So your memory bank just forgot to store it. Your brain kind of filed it under like useless information. We don't really need to remember this. And so you've heard it, you know about it, but you can't remember what it ties to. So a lot of times, like people on Jeopardy will see a question or see the little category thing pop up, and they've heard it somewhere, but they just didn't remember it because at the time when they learned it, it was useless to them until they needed it in Jeopardy. So Moving on to the fourth reason why we forget. Motivated forgetting. Now, this is interesting. Sometimes we may actively work to forget memories, especially those of traumatic or disturbing events of experiences. And so the reason why a lot of people tend to forget is because they're motivated to forget. A lot of people don't want to remember a car crash. A lot of people don't want to remember certain traumatic events that have happened in their life. So they forget it. And sometimes this is subconsciously and sometimes this is consciously that they do this. And so it's a way for them to try to wipe clean that traumatic event. So they're forgetting it so they don't have to remember that pain and other things that went with it. And so with the interference one, we can dive a little bit deeper into that one. With proactive interference is when an old memory makes it more difficult or impossible to remember a new memory. And retroactive interference occurs when new information interferes with your ability to remember previously learned information. So sometimes you can have an older memory compete with a new one. Sometimes you have the new one compete with the old one. That's all that means. So that you can understand that there's two types of interference memory. So this is the biological side. This is the neuro side of things with our brain, why we forget. The other side has to do with influences. Now you understand why I use that word influences and gave you that as a key word. There are many, many, many influences to why we forget who we are. It has to do with friends, family, career, life events, money, fear, pain, stress, love, fame, etc. The list goes on. There's so many things outside of our brain that influence us in a way to forget the core person that we are. And I'm not talking about like we forget our name, like, oh, what's my name? I forgot who I am, like, or certain things like that. It makes us forget our morals and core values and what we were raised and brought up and who we are as a person, somebody who's generally kind-hearted or, is not selfish and things like that. So for a lot of people, the change that money and fame bring is one of the big reasons why we forget who we are. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today. And it's not because money's bad, fame's bad. No, none of that is bad. It's we forget who we are because we get to a point where we have never been and we don't know how to act, and we forget our moral compass. We forget the things that got us to there. And sometimes the things that got us to there are bad. So we kind of do want to forget some of those things. But the thing is there's lots of people, and I'm sure you've seen this with other people. They get a promotion, and now they're hanging out with the managers and supervisors, and they forget where they were on the assembly line. And all the people that work on the assembly line, they now snub them and think they're better than them because they're a manager now. I'm an assistant supervisor or whatever they want to call themselves. They got that promotion, so that extra money, that extra power is now changed them into somebody who they are not. And so remember the you who lives in the place beyond your anxieties, stresses, and worries. The you who defines who you really are, surrounded by what makes you smile and what makes you passionate. Remember that you always. And that's what I mean by people forgetting who they are. They forget the things that define them, the things that make them smile, the things that give them passion and motivation and purpose and drive. And they obtain these objects and money and fame and other things and forget completely the person they were before that drove them there, the person that made them smile and made them laugh and just understand life fully. And another reason why I'm doing this is because I want this as something on record for myself. If I were to ever become somebody who I'm not, I can refer back to this to put myself in check and be like, hey, this is who you are. Step back and remember what brought you here. Remember who you are. Don't forget the things that you were taught, the moral compass you have, and the things that you're trying to do because you got a little money or a little fame or something bad happened or you become fearful. Rise up and remember who you are and just keep going down that path. So that's what I wanted to get into with this whole remember who you are. I wanted to give you also some neuroscience behind just the brain to kind of teach you. Now, disclaimer, obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not a neuroscience thing. I researched a lot of this information to really understand the brain portion of it. Now, at the end, I like to do, some Q&A reflection time. This is either questions that have been sent in and asked to me by you guys, the listeners, or some questions that I've come up on my own to kind of take everything we've learned and just kind of apply it and do some active learning and, really just digress and understand what we just talked about. And so, first question is, do you feel like you have forgotten who you are? Do you feel like something has happened in your life that has shifted you, that has changed you to someone that you are not? Whether you're being fake or you're being totally different than what you would normally be towards someone, things like that. Did you forget who you are? Second question, do you know someone who has forgotten themselves? So if you haven't done it, do you know somebody who has? Is there somebody that you can talk to and kind of try to bring them back to who they were, to make them understand that this is a better way of living than being fake or whatever you want to call it? And last, what influences caused you or this person you know to forget yourself? So once you've identified whether it's yourself or this person that you want to talk to, also identify the influences that may be the factor of why you forgot yourself. Whether it be you got that promotion and now you feel like you have to put out to make these managers and other people that are in this higher position look at you differently and act a different way around people that are quote unquote below you when nobody is below you. But we'll get into that for another topic. Did you have to act that way? Did you do it subconsciously? Did you do it consciously? These are things that you have to question when you look at these influences that came into your life. Did this happen because of X, Y, and Z? So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked it. Comment down below, either on SoundCloud or YouTube or wherever you're listening to this to. I think we're on Stitcher now too. So just drop a comment. Maybe you went through this, or maybe you know someone that's gone through it. Share it off to somebody you think this might help them better understand and find and remember who they are. And, most importantly, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and God bless.